By Megan Flynn Morning Mix reporter. Email bio follow September 17 at 6:21 a.m. There is nothing like a meal at the Waffle House. After driving more than 60 animals from the South Carolina coast to southern Alabama inside of a school bus, Tony Alsup can attest. Alsup, a 51-year-old trucker from Greenback, Tennessee, was parked at a Waffle House outside Fayetteville, NC, on Sunday night for a quick pit stop and a plate of waffles and grits. He had been on the road since Monday, when he hopped in his bus and headed toward the coast, committed to rescuing as many animals as possible ahead of Hurricane Florence. Inside the bus, the seats have been ripped out to make room for its passengers. On the bus's side are the words "Emergency Animal Rescue Shelter." But it could have said Noah's Ark. In the last week, Alsup and his bus have rescued 53 dogs and 11 cats from South Carolina shelters that were in Florence's treacherous path, as first reported by the Greenville News. And come morning, Alsup expects to search for more. "I'm like, look, these are lives too," Alsup told the Washington Post during his Waffle House stop. "Animals, especially shelter pets, they always have to take the backseat of the bus. But I'll give them their own bus. If I have to, I'll pay for all the fuel, or even a boat, to get these dogs out of there." Inside Tony Alsup's animal rescue bus. Tony Alsup, who wants to open his own animal shelter one day, has been rescuing shelter pets from floodwaters with his school bus since Hurricane Harvey ravaged the Texas coast last year. When Alsup saw on the news how numerous animal shelters became overcrowded with lost or rescued animals, he thought he could help. He wanted to help transport the animals to vacant shelters, but he knew he couldn't put them in a semi-trailer. "I thought, well, what can I do?" he said. "I'll just go buy a bus." He has since helped with rescues during Hurricanes Irma and Maria, no bus for the latter. He was feeding horses, and now during Florence. Last Monday, when Alsup began his latest rescues, the kennels in his vehicle were stacked from floor to ceiling. Pet food, water bowls, leashes and toys were strewn about the aisle. But as he rolled along his route, Alsup kept telling his Facebook followers that he had room for more, asking them to point him to where pets needed help. "No one left behind," he wrote in one Facebook post, before signing off with his standard line, "Love y'all, mean it." In less than 48 hours, he stopped at the Humane Society of North Myrtle Beach, SC, the Dillon County, SC, Animal Shelter, another in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and St. Francis Animal Center in Georgetown, SC, which sang his praises on social media Sunday. In a Facebook post late Sunday, the St. Francis Animal Center said that Alsup was rescuing all the leftover pets, the dogs and cats the shelter couldn't seem to hand off to anyone else. "It's all true. Tony swooped in at 4 a.m. Wednesday morning to pick up our leftovers, the dogs with blocky heads, the ones with heartworm," the center wrote on Facebook. "The ones no one else will ever take. And he got them to safety. Not the most conventional evacuation, but surely the one with the most heart." Tony Alsup takes a selfie with the rescued dogs and cats. Tony Alsup, once he had them in his bus, Alsup drove to Foley, Alabama, where his friend, Angela Maddox, opened her privately run dog shelter to the new arrivals for the night. She gave them baths and fluffy blankets and spa treatment, Alsup said, until they could find enough shelters or foster homes for the animals. They managed to do it in a matter of a day. "We just burned up the airwaves," Alsup said. Some people came to adopt some of the dogs and cats on the spot, while Alsup coordinated with other